Hello and welcome to another Forza Motorsport 7 video. Now this is the Jaguar F-Pace. It's Jaguar's attempt at making a luxury slash off-road SUV. Now you may also know about the Jaguar Project series. It takes cars like the F-Type and the XE and makes them sportier essentially. I put some pictures up on the screen of what they look like just now. However, at this time there is no project car, if you like, of the F-Pace. So I decided to hop on Forza and see what that might look like. So this is what happened. So after some upgrades, this is what I came up with. It has 120 extra horsepower to the standard F-Pace. I've made it lighter, firmer and generally just better for going around a track, and also 2 racing stripes for looks. And I called it, I think rather cleverly, the Jaguar F-Pace Project 9. So this is what happened when I took it to our test track to see what it was like. Well, this thing certainly sounds like a Jaguar should, and that is absolutely amazing. I've upgraded the supercharger that the standard car already had on it, and a few other things. So this thing is capable of getting from 0 to 60 in just 3.5 seconds, which for a fairly large SUV is, well, it's pretty insane. It's up there with some supercars and sports cars. They're coming into pretty much the fastest corner of the track. It gets very sideways, which is something you definitely wouldn't expect from a car of this size. You don't really expect SUVs like this to be getting sideways, but on this first test drive I was noticing that this thing was getting pretty sideways. It's quite lively at the rear end, let's just say. So for a large SUV I really wasn't expecting that. Also a surprisingly good turning circle, so I guess that's a plus side as well. So yeah, I believe the first test drive went pretty well. So yeah, with the first initial test drive over, I moved on to the next tests. So for the second test of my F-Pace Project 9, I took it to the Sebring Full Circuit and 2 other SUV slash off-roaders, Gaming Doctor in the Jeep Cherokee Trackhawk and Tigos in the Range Rover SVR. Now into the first corner I get rather wide, just testing the limits of my car, and clearly I pushed it a little bit too hard into the first corner. So yeah, both these cars have significantly more horsepower than me. I have 502 horsepower, the Range Rover has about 550, and the Jeep 707 has the Hellcat engine. Now due to slight driver inexperience maybe at this track, Tigos and Gaming Doctor didn't really know this corner that well and ended up on the grass in their Jeep and Trackhawk, in the Jeep and the Range Rover, so that meant I was ahead of my Jaguar. At least they were testing their off-road abilities, even though we can't really do that properly in Motorsport 7 yet. So yeah, I mean my Jaguar was just, it was a really good car to drive, really nice. Now a little bit further on, Tigos managed to get his Range Rover onto the grass and see how many times he could roll it. Turns out many, so that was a good test of the Range Rover. And Gaming Doctor, who was driving the Jeep, was laughing so hard that he managed to crash into the tyre wall, which obviously meant I was way ahead. And Tigos then decided to test out the off-road abilities of his Range Rover again. So yeah, having learnt precisely nothing from this test, we moved on. So after that fairly pointless race, we took all 3 of the SUVs to the quarter mile to see which was quicker in a straight line. Now the Doctor said he didn't mess up the first gear in the Jeep, hence why my Jaguar slightly went off a line quicker than the Jeep, but as we pass the halfway mark the Jeep regains the lead, and well, the Range Rover is far behind. So yeah, but it still managed to keep up with the Jeep fairly well. So yeah, on to the last test. So for the final test of my Jaguar, I decided to take all 3 of the SUVs to our Sebring test track and see which one could get the fastest lap time. So bearing in mind this is the same track, same driver, same conditions, so that will quite obviously factor out any driver differences we may have had in that rather pointless race earlier on. Now you can clearly see from the start my Jaguar is pretty far ahead, at least of the Range Rover. Me and the Jeep are fairly similar. However, I mean, obviously the Jeep does have more power. It's 205 more horsepower than my Jaguar, which is quite a lot. However, in the handling department, my Jaguar is is way better. Driving these cars, at least driving the Jaguar and the Jeep, I did notice a significant difference between the way the Jaguar drove and the Jeep drove. I know they call the Jeep the track hawk and everything, but it's just, I mean, it's track focused for a Jeep. It handles well for a Jeep, but that's for a Jeep. My Jaguar handles like a sports car. It handles, dare I say it, like an F-Type almost. Just a little bit less tail end happy. Now coming into the last long sweeping corner, a Range Rover getting a little bit of understeer on the way out, but not too much of an issue. The Jaguar speeding towards the line, as is the Jeep and the Range Rover just on the final stretch. The Jaguar coming across the line now, Jeep's extra 200 horsepower kicking in, making it go across the line, and there's the Range Rover across as well. So a look at the leaderboard does confirm that my Project 9 F-Pace got the quickest out of the three SUVs, getting a 1:15.58, the Trackhawk getting a 1:19.04, and the Range Rover getting a 1:21.97. Now my Project 9 did actually beat the Project 7 F-Type by a whole 3 seconds, and the Range Rover, whilst it is the slowest, it nearly got as quick as the BMW N2, so that is still pretty impressive. So there you go, it turns out my building of the F-Pace Project 9 went pretty well. So if you have enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Until next video, goodbye.